because when let me just repeat that because I didn't record it. So this workshop is meant to be something, a project you could put on your resume, showcasing your skills working with AWS services, specifically AWS Lambda, which is going to be the highlight of this workshop. And it's going to be a follow along, so you can follow along step by step as I do it live, or you can I'll have a description in the slides. This all of this will be uploaded to the Discord. So this slide itself, this presentation will be in the Discord, as well as our YouTube channel will have the YouTube live video for you to follow slide by slide if you want to, or live. So yeah, to start, I'm gonna have you guys fill out a quick survey. This also has the check-in for Hadi Nasser if you guys are from there, want the extra credit. But I'll give you guys about 5 minutes to fill that out. Just a quick survey if you can. It's just talking about just information for us to get about you guys moving forward next semester with new events, because we are expanding and growing way faster than we thought we would. So we want to get feedback from the community to say. So just fill that out if you have time. I'll give a quick 5 minute timer for you guys to work on that.
All right, man. Me, I gotta join this extra credit thing. Okay.
Can you say that again? I didn't hear you, my bad. Okay. I'm gonna assume everybody got that. I'll come back to it at the end if some people have missed it, or I'll just go back to it when you guys need me to. All right, so to start, I'm gonna give you guys a visual workflow. I wanted to use a Jira board, but for some reason, I just could not figure it out right now. I didn't have time to make a whole Jira board being as detailed as I wanted to. So I'm gonna give a very simple, brief overlook. So on the left here, the first thing you'll see is this right here. This is Amazon S3. If you guys did not attend our first event of the year of the semester, we talked about Amazon S3. And so I'll give a very simple breakdown of it. It is just a container to hold images, to hold folders, files. So think of your file system in Microsoft or in a MacBook. You have Finder, you have Windows directory services. It just holds files. You have different files. You have desktop, you have your HDD, you have your main disk, all those. It's just basically think of it like that. It's just a holder, a container for files. And for in this example of what we're doing for this workshop, we're going to be using it to store images specifically. So that's going to be what our container is. And then moving on, this S3 is going to be our trigger for AWS Lambda. AWS Lambda is a little more harder to explain with when you don't have experience with it, but I'll try to explain it in a real world example. Say when you're at Myers and you want to pay for your self-checkout food, right? You have a whole grocery bag full of food and you want to pay for it. You insert your card into that little checkout thing that takes your card, asks for a PIN number. That is your action is triggering some type of event. That event is checking your card, right? So Lambda would be that little card reader. Lambda is a virtual function, and what it does is it is triggered by some type of service in AWS. It's AWS specific, right? So it only works in the AWS management console. So it's a virtual function that is triggered by an event. It's an event-based function. So it takes any code. It goes code from Python, C++. You can even use Docker containers for it, but it's just any type of code based on some type of trigger you provide. So what's another example? Say I was making a facial recognition app with AWS, and I wanted to alert myself every time I was going over a cost while making that app in AWS, because AWS does charge you for using their services. So I could use Lambda to connect to have a trigger for CloudWatch logs, which is basically CloudWatch logs is basically just looks over your whole AWS account. So I can have a trigger for that where it watches my budgeting, my bills. So if a service goes over a certain dollar amount, it would trigger the AWS Lambda. And AWS Lambda, we just have a easy Python script, maybe 4 or 5 lines, just saying that, oh, you have to email me when I go over this limit. The code itself is not too complicated. It's more web-based. So if you've ever worked with HTTP or if you ever worked with ports in cybersecurity, you'll understand the code. I'll explain the code because we will be doing a little bit of coding for the AWS Lambda section, but I'll explain that later. I'll explain it step by step. You don't have to be coding anything yourself. I'll provide you with the code and break it down for you. So if you want to talk about the code in your resume, you can put a PowerPoint bullet point for that. So break it down from the beginning again. S3 is where we're going to be uploading our pictures. Then these pictures are going to trigger a function in AWS Lambda, and this function will be moving on to the last thing right here, Amazon SNS. So SNS is a subscription service. It's just alerts. So you know how Facebook, when you subscribe, or Instagram, when you download the app, it says, did you allow notifications, allow alerts? You get text messages, you get emails about stuff. Though that user utilizes Amazon SNS. It's the most widely used thing. Basically, it's just alerts to whatever type of system you want to push out to. So you could be sending alerts about your water bottle being refilled in an application you made through text, through email, through phone call. It pushes out an alert to subscribe. But think about it as a newsletter. You subscribe to it and you get new news every time it updates. So the whole workflow is going to be, we upload a file to our S3 bucket right here. Then that bucket is going to trigger the function in AWS Lambda, which then will execute an alert from Amazon SNS. And it's that simple. We're just making a very simple upload image email alert system. Okay, so let's get out of here. I'm going to start the workflow for you guys. These 2 slides are going to be very simple. They're just going to be for the Discord. If nobody is able to watch this video, or they just find the slides in Discord, it's going to be for them. They can try it themselves. It's the step-by-step instructions. I'm going to be doing a live, so I'm not going to explain it to you because this is only for people who haven't seen it. Real quick, does anybody need the QR code again? Do I have to stop for a second?
Yes, please.
Okay, I got you. Let me know when you're done.
Done. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna start off. If you guys are following me live, you want to go ahead and move to the Amazon Management Console. Just search that up in Google, or you can literally just search it up, whatever system you have, search engine you have. You want to just search up Amazon Management Console. And once you're at this link, it'll be the first one, manage AWS resources, AWS Management Console. This is where you go anything AWS service based. So if you're not familiar with AWS services, there are over 400 services AWS Web Services provides to people, to developers, to individuals, to businesses that people use for apps, for cloud, for a lot of stuff. It's a big business, and these services are very integral because they're the most popular compared to Microsoft or Google. Okay, to start off, you'll say log in. For me, it's log back in, but for you guys, it's just say log back in. I'm just gonna go here to show you guys. Just click sign in. and it'll take you to a page. So yours will say this, yours will say sign in root user, IAM user. If you have never used the AWS management console before, you want to press root user and you want to create, or actually, my bad. If you want to do this, you want to press create new AWS account. So when you create a new AWS account, it makes you sign up for AWS. You need an email address, you need an AWS account name. You basically it's a basic account setup. This account will take a card, by the way, but the application we are making will not be using when we my bad, brain fart. We won't be using any services to the point where you would get charged. So if you want to follow along and do this, it will take a card to set up your account, but you can decide to do it later and just follow along live if you do. I'm not going to take you through the whole sign up for AWS because it's very simple. It's like a sign up for any other application. But once you do create this root account, you most likely you don't want to create your application on the root account. It's bad practice to make your application on the root account. You want to make a user on that account, and that user account is what you're going to do. For example, right here, I am not using my root account. I'm going to sign in as an IAM user, which is another account that's connected to the root account that I created that has permissions to work on the main account, the root account. So I sign in on this. Oop, how's that wrong? Let's see what I messed up. Oh, that's why. Okay, WSU. That should be it. Or is it just... Give me 1 second. I always forget what it is. There we go. Okay. So I've already built this application, but I'm gonna build it from scratch for you guys. So if you're following along, you can pause the video here if anybody who's watching this recording, but for you guys live, the first step to do is to go to S3, which is the first, actually no, we're gonna start off with IAM. I'll explain the service in a little bit, but first off, does anybody need me to slow down, explain anything? Am I talking too fast?
I think you're fine.
Okay, appreciate that. All right, so first off, I want you guys to go to the top search bar and go to IAM. IAM is basically it's the service which controls all access to your account. So like in say you're in Instagram or you're in Facebook and you're trying to change your password or something, you'd go to account settings, right? IAM is your account setting. You want to think about it like that. This is where you create your users, where you create your roles, your user groups, policies. What we're specifically going to do is we're looking to create a role for our Lambda because AWS services by default, they cannot work with other AWS services. Like, you know how when I'm uploading S3, it's supposed to trigger Lambda. So that can't happen without giving Lambda access to S3. So whatever one is affecting the other service, most of the time it'll be Lambda. Like most of the time when you're doing an application will be Lambda that needs access to other services. You'll be using a role. So a role gives services permissions to other services. So I'm gonna create a role real quick. We're gonna do AWS services. You'll see AWS service right here. We're not worried about any of these right now. If you guys want to figure out more of these, there's little descriptions. And I just gotta say, I love the new console. The old console for AWS management was disgusting. It was horrible.
The big company, the big project, the primary challenge is actually
Yulia, could you mute up? I can hear your professor in the background.
people work with each other and the fun place, have friendships and all this kind of thing. So this is actually primary challenge. So we looked into this to communication, collaboration, and all this type of
1 second, my bad, guys.
So
Okay, there we go. I don't think she meant to to unmute while she was having a talk with their professor. But so back to it. We're creating a role for an AWS services. As you'll see, Lambda will be the first one that pops up because it's one of the most commonly used services. And we're just going to click Lambda right there. Use case Lambda. Then I'm going to move on. Now permission. So if you want, very simply, if you want to give this service permission to everything, like you don't know what you're using it for, you want to just give permission, you'd use administrator access. But me specifically, I know what I'm giving it permission to. If you're doing it, I'd recommend you just do administrator access and you'll have service to everything. For me, I'm gonna give it permissions to S3, CloudWatch logs, and SNS. So first things first, let's search up S3. You'll see Amazon S3 full access. I'm gonna add that. And then we're gonna do Oh, did it work? Yeah. Okay. Then I'm gonna search up SNS, Amazon SNS full access, like right there. And we're gonna do CloudWatch. CloudWatch. Watch. Where's logs? Okay. Events full access. No, not events. We're not worried about events. I cannot read. CloudWatch. Um. Okay, I'm just typing logs. Let's see if that works. Okay, there we go. CloudWatch logs full access. This one. All right, we're gonna click next after that, and you'll see right here these three. You want to give it a role name. I'm gonna give it Workshop 2. You guys can keep whatever name you want to. I'm gonna keep it simple. Workshop 2 Lambda role, and it's gonna, as it tells you, allows Lambda functions to call AWS services on your behalf. Don't worry about the code. It's basically just saying allow to these others. Oh, other things, but oh. My Zoom is saying it's gonna run out for some reason. Hold up. Ooh. Okay, I'm gonna speed run this in 9 minutes. So yeah, once we have the attached policies, we're gonna create the role. If this Zoom does shut down, I will link another one. I don't think it will because I've done this before and it didn't. Hopefully it doesn't. So next what we're gonna do is go to S3, search up S3 in your console. We're gonna go there, head to the bucket. And from here, we're gonna create a bucket, title it wherever you want. Keep it in the region that you're using up top. I'm global, but what I use is US East 1. So general purpose, yep, I'm gonna name it Workshop 2 bucket. Easy as that. And don't worry about this, we're not caring about that. Block all public access, we don't care about that. I acknowledge. So enable bucket versioning. We always want that. Bucket key enable. Okay, we don't care about this either. All right, advanced settings, do we need anything? Object lock, nope. So we're good. So create that bucket. What am I missing? Oh, okay, see? There was a Workshop 2 bucket upload. All right, we're gonna keep it that name. All right, create the bucket. Someone has that too? Oh my God. Okay, they just hate me. All right, Workshop 2 upload. We're gonna make it that. This is the upload bucket. I'm gonna add, what can I make? Make it upload. How about that?
It says that it must not contain uppercase characters. Is that what's wrong with it?
Oh my God, I can't read. Thank you. Workshop 2 upload. Let's try that. Okay, so that's done. Now we have our bucket. We're gonna move on to Lambda. So now in Lambda, you just want to search it up in the top function, top console again. We're gonna go to functions on the left right here, and you want to create a new function. So author from scratch, yes, we don't have a container image or a blueprint right now. Function name Workshop 2 Lambda. Email alert. Okay, we're gonna use this is the language you choose for the code of the virtual function. I'm gonna be using Python for my function because Python is what everyone knows and it's very easy to use. Permissions. Let's see. Create new role. Use an existing role. See, this is something we have to use right here. This Lambda function needs access to the other services, so we're gonna choose that role we made before. So you see right here, Workshop 2 Lambda role. That's the one we made. We're gonna just click that. Easy. And then don't worry about these. We'll just create our function right there. Boom. Okay, boom. Our function is created. So a few things to do. You don't have to do this for yours, but me personally, I like to add a little bit of extra memory to my workshop, to my Lambda function. So I go to configuration and I go to edit, and I will make the memory 1024, 1 GB, just to add a little bit extra, you know. It doesn't ever hurt to put a little extra, make the timeout a minute, 0 seconds, so that it runs a little more. And then using existing role, yep, okay, save that, we're good. Okay, so the first thing you want to do in this function is we have to create a trigger, something to trigger this Lambda function. So to trigger it, I'm gonna add a trigger. And that trigger is going to be the S3 bucket that we made. So I'll go to S3 bucket, let's find it, workshop to upload. You see the one we just made, it lets you pick all of uploads. So we're looking for all objects create events. Yes, we are, because we're trying to, every time someone uploads and uploads a file, a picture or something into the bucket, it creates an event. So that's what we were looking for. That's perfect. We don't have to worry about that. So let's add that. Oh, actually, no, never mind. So let's add that. Boom. Okay. Now that we have the trigger, what we want to do is we want to code our function right here real quick. So real quick, I'm going to go to my other function, just copy the code from a previous function I made when I tested it. I'll explain it to you once I get that out. Oh, where's it at? Okay, boom. So I'm going to copy this code over. Let's go to workshop 2. Okay, so now I'm going to code this in. All right, so let me explain this code from top to bottom real quick. I'll explain it line by line. So import Bodo3. Bodo3 is what Lambda is called. It's basically Lambda's client when you use AWS services. You use it for any type of service interaction from code. So when you're trying to do code as infrastructure, you want to use import Bodo3 for Lambda because that gives you access to all of AWS services. So I'll talk about this ARN in a second. It's basically a tag.
Hey, Talha.
What's up?
Yeah, the Bodo3 is Python.
That's for Python?
Yeah.
Okay, my bad. I complicated it right there. Bodo3 is for Python specifically. I lied. But moving on, the topic ARN is basically identify tag. It's basically to identify the SNS topic we're going to be using. And this right here for all of my comp sci majors, you should know what this is. It's just a message that's going to try our client and grab from the SNS. It's going to publish our message from SNS, the successful message, if we get a successful message of 200. Which means our code worked, like the upload to the bucket worked. 200 is a successful message alert, and it'll print the result, notification sent successfully, return. And then if not, it gives us an error, pretty simple. Then we have another function called our Lambda handler. This is just, think of this as main. You know how in C++ you have that main function you have to add other functions into? That's our main. The Lambda handler is our main. So right here we have more print functions just to basically collecting from our S3 right here. You'll see event collected. It'll format the event, which is the upload. It'll check the upload in events, and then it'll get the specific name we need from the upload and say bucket name is. You'll see how it's formatted to say the bucket name, bucket key name from path. It's very simple code. It's just that you have to understand the structure of it. So yeah, this code here, I think we should be good. I'm gonna deploy it. I'm not gonna test it because I think we're running out of time. I'm trying to speed through this. So boom. So now our function is here. I'm gonna get rid of this SNS right here because that isn't a previous ARN and we don't want to use that. So let's deploy this. Boom. Okay, now we're gonna head to SNS. So once you're in SNS, first thing we have to do is create an SNS topic. So as you see before, I created one before called test email alerts. I'm gonna create one, but we're gonna use this previous one because I know it works. So we don't want first in, first out. We want an alert that just sends anytime we need it. I'm gonna name it workshop 2 email alerts. Boom. Display name, we don't care about that. Encryption, we don't care about that. Access policy, publishers, everyone, subscribers, everyone. We want to make sure it's everyone. You're supposed to, everyone has to be able to get an alert. Anyone can publish to the SNS topic. We want to make sure it's like that. Data protection, don't worry about that. Delivery, we're good on that. That should be normal. Data protection, I went over that. All right, delivery status logging, we're not worried about that. Okay, this one right here, IAM role, we actually do need to create a new service role for this, specifically for the SNS topic. So you don't use an existing service role. You're gonna just press create new service role for delivery status logging. We don't have to worry about these two, and let's create our topic. Boom, our topic is now created. So now that we've created the topic, we have to subscribe to the topic, subscribe to it. As you can see, previously I had another Gmail account subscribe to the topic for my test one. So I'm going to create another subscription. Topic is going to be our workshop 2 email alerts protocol. Protocol is basically the type of message you're trying to send. It's going to be SMS, messages, phone call, SQS. See how you can use other services too for alerts. But in our case, we're going to be using email. And I'm going to be using my personal email address. Please don't send me spam. Okay, and then after my subscription is created, you must confirm it. All right. we don't have to worry about these. Let's create our subscription. And boom, subscription created. So I'm gonna go to my Gmail real quick if this thing will move. And you'll see here, I'll reload in a second, but it should be able to, boom, right here. So this is telling me, do I want to subscribe? I have to confirm my subscription. And I am going to confirm my subscription real quick. Boom, subscription confirmed. And right now we're going to put in, now this is a very key part. You can't forget this part. The ARN of this subscription, we want to grab this right here. Oh, my bad. No. Go back to your topic test email alerts and grab the ARN of your topic, not your subscription. Once you've done that, go back to Lambda. And remember when I told you about that message identifier, that little message identifier you want to worry about? You want to just put it right in there. And that, let me just place it in there. It loads. You want to put it right here. Deploy. And boom, your whole function should be fine now. I will test it real quick to make sure it works.